Hey everybody, thanks so much for checking out this tutorial with Airtable. They have been a great partner to Superpath. I'm so excited that they are supporting this community. Airtable is a really powerful tool. It's a tool that I've used to build content calendars since 2017 or so. They're right at the forefront of the no-code trend. If you haven't built bases in Airtable before, I'd recommend trying it out. Like, as someone who's not technical, I can't write code. It's so much fun. It's so empowering to go and build things that, create these functionalities and these workflows that otherwise you would need to be able to program to do. So for the non-technical folks, if you want to own your own workflow, Airtable is just really a fantastic way to do that. I wanted to also let you know that Airtable is offering Superpath members, subscribers, and readers $500 in credit towards their Airtable account. So the premium plans are between $10 and $25 a month. $500 is going to take you a long way. That gets you all the automations. It gets you unlimited bases. It gets you extra storage. So I would definitely recommend checking that out. If you do want to redeem that offer, again, it's $500 in credit towards Airtable's Pro plans. Just go to airtable.com/superpath. Thanks so much for checking this video out, everyone, and take care. All right, so I'm Jimmy, co-founder of Superpath. I'm here today with Margaret Jones and Cody Henshaw from Airtable, from the content and product marketing teams, respectively. How are you both doing?
Doing well, thanks.
Airtable is one of my favorite tools. I think it is a tool that should be in every content marketer's toolkit. It's so powerful. I think potentially some folks find it to be a little overwhelming. So today we're going to walk through some common content marketing workflows that can be done, automated and streamlined in Airtable. But before we dive into all that, Margaret and Cody, you guys mind just introducing yourselves?
Yeah, Cody, you go first.
Okay. Hi, I'm Cody Henshaw. I'm a technical product marketer. I sit on the product marketing team here at Airtable, supporting things like launches, sales enablement, and analyst briefings, anything where we're displaying our product in front of customers. So
awesome.
And I'm Margaret. I lead content here at Airtable. So my teams do everything from search-driven top-of-funnel content, trying to bring new folks into our pipeline, all the way through to post-sign-up, activation, and retention content.
Cool. That's awesome. Yeah, you really sit exactly at the intersection of like workflow and content marketing. So I'm excited to chat. So if you want, we can go ahead and dive right into it. So we're going to actually see some different workflows. So Margaret and then Cody will show their screens. We'll actually walk through some of their own workflows. I'll pop in with questions. And I think this is going to be really fun.
Awesome. I'll jump right in. So I thought I would start by sharing my personal content base. And some of this is going to look very familiar to anyone who works in content. I've got a list of things that I need to do. My team has about 10 different folks working on content, and then I'm part of a larger marketing team with about 30 people. And as the sort of central content repository and source of knowledge, we get a lot of review requests. Product marketers want things reviewed. Our ops people need things reviewed. There's copywriting things to look at. There's a lot coming at us. So if you're like me, you are probably managing your process with some kind of running list. These are all the things that I need to have reviewed. So I thought I would start with how I'm actually using Airtable to manage that super painful, but ideally simple process. So where I started when I first got to Airtable and realized I needed to put something like this together, again, this is probably familiar to most of you folks, is with a review form. So if people need something reviewed, there's certain information that I know that I need. And as you can see, this is all within my personal content base. So I'm not creating 100 different documents that live in 100 places. Everything lives together. So in this same base where you just saw my tracker, you also see my form, because these things are related. This is what it looks like for folks who I share it with. So they would just come in and say, okay, I want to assign something to Margaret. Here's my email address. Here's what I need reviewed. Here's the date I need it reviewed by. Here's maybe a link to the document itself. if I have a file to attach, I could go here. And then this is where things get specific to me and my process. So I like to know what kind of edit people want. And sometimes people don't know when they come in, right? They're just like, I don't know, take a look at it. I was told you had to look at it. So this kind of like forces people to get a little bit more specific. Do they need a copy edit? Do they need a proof? Do they need feedback? Like, tell me what you want. So they might say, I just need a copy edit. Thank you. I also want to know, this is personal to me in my workflow, what stage the project is in. Is this
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, like, is this just like, yeah, everyone have I already looked at it? Sometimes that's the case. I want to know that. Or maybe it's, I think this is almost done. You've already looked at it. This is a final draft. That's one that I get a lot. Or people might say, these are multi-select, right? They might say, I just started working on this and I think it needs a lot of work. Those are options too. So I can know that and have that context when I first come in.
I like that. I like that. That's like I'm sure everyone's had that experience where they send something off to be edited.
Yeah.
The writer thinks it's like, oh, it's almost done. I'm going to publish it tomorrow. And then it gets destroyed by an editor and like I start over and it's like, yeah, so that's good. That's very good context.
Right.
I like that.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Jimmy. And I don't want to come to someone and, give them really light feedback if they wanted a lot of feedback conversely too. So this can help manage that process. And all of this is totally, as any good form should be, totally customizable. So I can add new things in here. I can add different types of fields. If I say, oh, I want I want a link to something, I want to know a different date, I want to know who all the collaborators are, I could include any of that in my form.
All of the fields in the form map directly to the fields in the base.
Exactly. So this form is actually a view of my base. When I come into here, so this is my view of my daily to-dos. Let's actually see. So if we go in here, this is just kind of sorted. This is like all of the information that's ever been in the base. This is a crazy amount of information.
Got it. That's whether it's been addressed or still to be, okay, just everything.
Every piece of data that's ever been entered in here is here. So this is a useless view, right? Like I never want this view. It's confusing, it's crowded. So I create these views that actually help me understand my flow. And the form is one of those views, right? So when someone fills that out, it's gonna automatically populate in here. And I actually have a step in my process. A lot of editors are gonna like this one. I have to accept the request before I start working on it. Oh. And that's because when someone comes to me and they say, hey, I need this yesterday and it needs tons of feedback and it's 20 pages long, I kind of want the opportunity to say, can I counter negotiate on that date? Like, I don't think that's realistic. I need to follow up with you. And so this is where we get into our automations. I actually have an automation that lets people know I've checked this button that says accepted. And actually it's not showing on here because this is filtered by all of my accepted projects. But if I go into a record, you can see, and I'll show this. If I hit this button where it's actually accepted, it's going to trigger a notification to that person letting them know, hey, Margaret actually is going to review this thing you've asked her for.
That's awesome.
So it gives me an extra layer. A request is a request, right? It's not binding until I've actually said I'm going to do it.
And then if you don't accept it, is there an automation for that, or do you just reach out and say, hey, we need to talk about the deadline for this?
Because I accept 99% of my requests, I have not automated that.
Got it.
Setting up that automation would take me 2 minutes. If I wanted to automate, like, for example, I haven't checked that accept button and it's been 24 hours. Maybe I want to automate that now that date is passed and I haven't accepted, that person now knows that it's been rejected.
Got it.
That would be a pretty passive way of dealing with the situation. I'd rather just have the
yeah.
But you can imagine how at scale, something like that actually could be really necessary.
Right.
Great question. So with that in mind, I thought I would get into a little bit more of these automations. When I first joined Airtable and really started diving into the product, this was like the first thing that I built for myself. And if you're in content, even if you're in marketing, you're probably not used to that phenomenon of like, hey, I just went in and built this thing. Like I didn't go harass IT. I didn't have to hire a consultant. I knew I needed something, so I just made it. So this was the first thing that I made, was to build out these automations. And so I'm going to show how and why you might do something. So
Yeah.
let's say, oh, sorry, Jim.
I just want to jump in and say, like, I
Yeah.
feel like for content marketers who are not used to building things, this is like a little bit of it's not challenging concept to understand, but like if you haven't done it before, it might not make perfect sense. Like the first time that I, for example, transitioned from a content calendar in a Google Sheet to a content calendar in Airtable was like that was like an aha moment. Like when I realized that I could build it to do exactly what I wanted it to do, I could have all the fields I wanted. I could filter out views to make sure it was clean and nice looking. It's a very empowering feeling to know that you can do it, because like most content marketers, I'm not technical. I can't code things. Like I'm not going to find budget to do it. The developers don't have time. Like it's a really, anyways, that's kind of a tangent, but this whole like no code movement is so powerful for folks who want to be able to build their own workflows, but just previously didn't have the ability to do it.
Yeah, it's so true. And I remember the first time an engineering friend of mine explained to me like that coding was a language. That was the first time I thought like, oh, maybe one day I could understand this, because I'm a words person, I'm a language person. And building these really simple automations, Cody knows, because like every time I like build something, I like shout it from the rooftops, because it's just not an experience that I've had in my life. And I do feel like empowered is such an overused word, right? Like every company, every tool is like, we're empowering. But this feeling is like, I don't know how else to describe it. Like, I don't know what other word to use. So let me show, because you can tell I'm excited to show off my automation skills. Let me show an automation. So as you can see, I already have some built. When I get a new request, I have an automatic email that's sent to me that says, hey, you've got a new request. When I accept the task, as I explained before, it automatically tells the requester, hey, Margaret has accepted your request. And then when it's complete, because we all like hitting that complete button, it also then sends an email letting the requester know, hey, this has been reviewed. So all of those, that cuts out like 50% of the email that I used to send to people. I mean, I used to have like a line of copy that I would copy and paste that was basically saying, hey, I've reviewed your thing. Hey, I've reviewed your thing. Right. So anytime you have something like that in your workflow, that tends to be a sign you could automate something, especially if you've got something like Airtable going that's actually going to empower you to do that. So let's say though that I actually I've been doing more and more of my work in Slack, and this is actually true. And I've realized my inbox is getting crazy. I don't want an email notification when I've got a new request. I actually just want a Slack notification. So this is real time. So everyone bear with me as I build this automation. I think I can do it. Okay, so I'm going to create a new automation. I want to be notified in Slack when there is a new request for me to review. So Slack notify, call this whatever you want. So so any automation has two elements, right? This even for us non-technical folks, we can grasp. There is a trigger. So there's a thing that happens, and then there is like the action, what you want to result from that happening. So that's what makes something automatic, right? And this is how I have to think about it. So I apologize if this is really basic for folks.
No, this is helpful.
People are like, please don't explain to me what an automation is. I really needed it. So let's start with the trigger. So what's going to cause my action to happen? So I hit my choose a trigger button. So this is all very WYSIWYG. This is all very very friendly to the non-technical people like myself. And so I want, anytime a new record is created in this space, right? Specifically in my tasks table, which is anytime someone fills out a form, it creates a new record, right? So anytime a record is created, I want to be notified, because that means I've got a new request. I'm going to go, boom, when a record is created. So it's going to ask me where. I want it to be in my tasks table, all tasks, boom. And I'm just quickly going to make sure that that works. So I'm going to run my little test. It ran successfully. That trigger is good. Amazing.
And that's basically saying that there is a
Yeah.
previous line in there that it can pull from, so you know you got something to work off.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's telling me I didn't make something up completely random, which again,
Right.
if you're not used to building stuff, these little, these are very reassuring to be able to
Right.
tell. Okay, so I've done that part. So now what do I want to happen? So say that's done. Now I need to add an action. There are a lot of different actions that I can choose from, and these are all pre-built. I can say I want a Google form created. I want an issue to be created in Jira. I want it to post to Facebook. I want it to create a Google Calendar event. I've used that one a bunch. In this case, I want a Slack message, going back to our initial goal. So send a message in Slack.
And these integrations are native, or does each individual person need to add the other apps that they want to play with?
These are all just there.
Got
it. Exactly. So I didn't add any of these. They just exist for me.
That's awesome.
You do need to integrate your accounts, and I have already done that part, which is
just username, password. So you're
exactly
okay.
Just they're not going to send a Slack message to like any person I can think of. I have to have access to that Slack instance, which is a good thing. So when I go in here, I just see my Slack account. So that's my Airtable Slack. It's just right there ready for me. Now channel, so that's like, where is the Slack message going to go? I could pick any of these channels I have access to, or I could just say, in this case, I want a direct message to myself. So I'm typing my name. I could have it sent to Cody. I could have it sent to anyone in my Slack instance, but I could send it to like a group of reviewers if that's what made the most sense. In this case, I want it to go to me. And this is where things get fun. So what do I actually want the alert to say? I can have this message pull in information from the request itself. So I could say, new request alert. That's fun. And then I want it to pull in the email address of the person who requested it. So these are all fields that I have in that form that I showed you. So I'm going to say this person is requesting, oops, it's always fun to type on screen, is requesting a review of, and then I'm going to have the name of the request. So that's this guy here, name. And then I want to say due by, because that's the most important thing for me right now. I'm going to say, I believe that was the language I used. Awesome. So it's due by this date. And then finally, as Cody was just reminding me, I probably also want to link to the record in Airtable so I can just open it directly from Slack. So record link, and that's also in this little information here, record URL, boom. Okay, so that's the information that's going to be Slack to me. So now I'm going to run a test. Oh, I have a new request alert, which is really exciting. And so I know that it worked. Great. And I'm just going to hit done. And then the most important part is I'm going to turn this on. So now every time someone fills out that form, I get a Slack message. Beautiful. That took me how long? Like maybe 5 minutes, because I was painfully talking you through each step. What I'm trying to show here is like, that was pretty easy and pretty logical. And now I have this automation and it's always on. And I can even see if I go into my runs, oh, this one hasn't run yet because we just created it. If I come back here and look at some of my other tasks, I can see every time that it ran successfully. So I can even check to make sure that it's working.
Right. No, that's cool. I mean, I look at that and I see, dozens of emails that you didn't have to, or Slack messages that you didn't have to manually send. Cause like, I'm imagining like you get the request, say it's from Cody, and you start typing up an email. Hey, Cody, I saw your request. I'm pretty busy this week. When do you need this by? And hey, what stage is it at?
Right.
And then Cody responds and kind of like writes out a whole nother thing. And just like this whole chain of stuff that doesn't ever really need to happen.
Yeah, totally. That's exactly right. This has definitely added hours of productivity to my week, month, quarter, year. And now I can never go back.
That's cool. That's cool. And I can imagine like so many other use cases. Like for example, like I use Airtable forms for our contact us page on the website. And I have similar automations running that send people follow-up emails. if they reach out so they can schedule time. You know, like that's
Totally.
another like very similar use case. But for content teams who are constantly processing requests, who are constantly like reviewing ideas. Thanks so much for checking out that video. Just a quick reminder, Airtable is now an official partner of Superpath. As part of that, they're offering a $500 credit towards their pro plans. To redeem that, just go to airtable.com/superpath. Thanks so much for watching and take care.